tahun 2024. So this is the plan that will connect Limbang and Lawas with our state grid in the near future. Ini tanggungjawab yang tidak akan dimungkiri oleh kerajaan GPS Sarawak. Janji ditunaikan. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Bukit Samuja, penggunaan tenaga boleh baharu renewable energy untuk penjanaan sendiri oleh kilang kelapa sawit dan kilang kayu adalah digalakkan. Buat masa ini terdapat 23 lesen penjanaan telah dikeluarkan dengan jumlah kapasiti penjanaan 100 megawatt. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Tamin, projek Rural Electricity Supply RES Last Miles di Nangakua yang berjumlah ringgit Malaysia 11 juta sedang dalam pelaksanaan dan dijangka siap pada suku kedua 2023. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Tanjung Datuk, gangguan bekalan elektrik yang kerap terjadi adalah berpunca daripada pelbagai faktor luaran seperti tumbuh-tumbuhan, animal encroachment dan keadaan cuaca buruk. Untuk tujuan ini, Sarawak Energy telah mengenalpasti tindakan berikut. Pertama, mengkaji semula pengurusan kontrak pemotongan pokok di bawah atau di sepanjang jajaran talian elektrik tersebut. Kedua, preventive maintenance seperti penggunaan thermal scanner untuk mengesan perubahan haba yang boleh mengakibatkan gangguan bekalan elektrik. Dan ketiga, menukar overhead lines without insulation kepada overhead lines with insulation di kawasan yang terdedah kepada tumbuh-tumbuhan. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Telang Usan, sistem solar Sares yang disediakan oleh Kerajaan Sarawak secara percuma dengan kapasiti 3 kilowatt sehari adalah untuk memenuhi keperluan asas sahaja seperti lampu, televisyen, peti sejuk dan periuk nasi elektrik. Pengguna Sares adalah dinasihatkan supaya tidak menggunakan peralatan elektrik berkuasa tinggi untuk memanjangkan jangka hayat sistem tersebut. Pencawang bunut 500 kV dengan kos ringgit Malaysia 103.4 juta sedang dibina dan dijangka siap beroperasi pada suku pertama tahun 2023. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Tupong, kos untuk pengalihan tiang adalah ditanggung oleh pemohon itu sendiri. Pada suku ketiga tahun 2022, Sarawak Energy telah melaksanakan subsidi 50% daripada kos pengalihan tiang yang dipohon dengan syarat tiang itu berada di dalam kawasan tanah pemohon. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Semunjan, sejak 2 bulan yang lepas terdapat 8 gangguan bekalan elektrik yang telah direkodkan di kawasan Asajaya, Sadong Jaya, Semunjan, Sebangan dan Sebuyau. Antara punca utama gangguan elektrik sementara adalah disebabkan keadaan cuaca buruk, animal encroachment, tiang tumbang akibat aksiden, pokok tumbang dan kabel rosak akibat kerja-kerja pengorekan, excavation work. Sarawak Energy secara purata telah menyelesaikan kebanyakan kes tersebut dalam tempoh 15 minit, manakala terdapat beberapa kes yang memerlukan masa yang lebih panjang untuk dipulihkan. Pencawang elektrik Asajaya 33 kV telah siap dibina baru-baru ini. Kerja-kerja penyambungan litar kabel bawah tanah dari pencawang tersebut ke pencawang 33 kV di kawasan perindustrian Pencawang elektrik Asajaya 33 kV telah siap dibina baru-baru ini. Kerja-kerja penyambungan litar kabel bawah tanah dari pencawang tersebut ke pencawang 33 kV di kawasan perindustrian Kota Semerahan sedang dilaksanakan dan dijangka siap sepenuhnya pada suku ketiga 2023. Ini akan meningkatkan reliability bekalan elektrik di Asajaya, Sadong Jaya, Sebangan, Sebuyau dan Semunjan. So we hope that will be the permanent solution in the near future, Tuan Sri Speaker. Isu-isu spesifik berkaitan alaf. Bagi ahli yang berhormat, untuk makluman yang berhormat bagi Bukit Samuja, Engkelili, Lingga dan Beting Maru yang membangkitkan isu berkaitan additional land applicant fund alaf dan juga untuk makluman semua ahli yang berhormat di dalam Dewan Yang Mulia ini, pelaksanaan skim alaf sedang giat dilaksanakan di semua bahagian bagi membekalkan elektrik kepada rakyat di kawasan luar bandar Sarawak. Ini adalah merupakan usaha berterusan Kerajaan Sarawak yang sedang dilaksanakan secara berperingkat mengikut fasa pelaksanaan projek. Isu-isu spesifik telekomunikasi transipsika. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Katibas, Krian, Dudung, Daro, Bak Kelalan, Bukit Asik, Balingian, Kelakak, Batu Kitang, Kabung, Tamin, Engkelili, Tanjung Datuk, Meluan, Beting Maru, Macan, Bukit Bangunan dan Semunjan berkenaan isu liputan dan perkembangan projek telekomunikasi yang dibangkitkan. Kementerian saya akan terus memantau pelaksanaan projek-projek infrastruktur telekomunikasi yang melibatkan lebih daripada 1,400 buah menara telekomunikasi di bawah inisiatif SMART dan jendela yang dijangka siap pada penghujung tahun 2023. Dengan siapnya semua infrastruktur telekomunikasi tersebut, maka ianya akan dapat meningkatkan kadar liputan perkhidmatan telekomunikasi di Sarawak. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Murum, cadangan projek perkhidmatan jalur lebar talian tetap seperti yang dinyatakan akan diambil maklum untuk tindakan. Namun sebuah pedi telah diwujudkan di skim penempatan Sungai Asap yang menyediakan kemudahan internet dan latihan berasaskan ICT. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Bak Kelalan, kini tidak timbul isu monopoli melibatkan kerja pembinaan struktur telekomunikasi di Sarawak. Selain daripada Sekolah Sinan Berhad, terdapat lebih daripada 10 buah syarikat tempatan yang aktif menjalankan kerja-kerja pembinaan menara telekomunikasi dan kemudahan rangkaian lain seperti gentian optik. Semua syarikat ini turut terlibat dalam projek pembinaan struktur telekomunikasi yang diselia oleh SMA dan MC ketika ini. Tuan Speaker, isu-isu spesifik mengenai gas. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat bagi Bak Kelalan, berkenaan dengan kejadian letupan gas di jajaran Sabah Sarawak Gas Pipeline SSGP di Lawas, pada masa ini siasatan lanjut masih dijalankan oleh pihak Petronas dan Jabatan Kesihatan dan Keselamatan Pekerja. So, it is still under investigation. Kesimpulan, Tuan Speaker, kesimpulan saya ingin mengulangi perlunya semua pihak yang berkepentingan seperti agensi kerajaan, operator, kontraktor dan pembekal yang berkaitan yang terlibat dalam penyediaan perkhidmatan utiliti dan telekomunikasi bekerja rapat untuk menyelesaikan sebarang isu yang timbul. Ini adalah perlu bagi memastikan projek dan program yang dirancang dapat dilaksanakan mengikut tempoh yang ditetapkan. Sebelum saya mengakhiri ucapan ini, saya terlebih dahulu mengucapkan setinggi-tinggi tahniah kepada Tuan Speaker dan Timbalan Speaker kerana telah dapat mengendalikan persidangan Dewan pada kali ini dengan begitu baik sekali, dan kepada Setiausaha Kerajaan Sarawak, Setiausaha Kerajaan Persekutuan, Peguam Besar Negeri, Setiausaha Keuangan Negeri, Setiausaha Tetap Kementerian, Ketua-Ketua Jabatan, Pegawai-Pegawai Dewan dan Jurut Ringkas yang telah memberi kerjasama sepenuhnya untuk menjayakan persidangan Dewan pada kali ini. Terima kasih kepada semua. Sebelum saya mengakhiri ucapan, saya juga ingin mengucapkan kepada semua selamat menyambut Hari Krismas, selamat Tahun Baru 2023 kepada semua. Namun untuk penutup, Tuan Speaker, saya ingin berkongsi beberapa rangkap pantun. Naik perahu pergi ke hulu, kalau pergi biar berkawan. PRU 15 baru berlalu, kerajaan perpaduan jadi pilihan. Sorong papan tarik papan, papan jenis kayu belian. Kalau perpaduan jadi pilihan, biar dibentuk penuh keikhlasan. Sayang Sarawak wilayahnya luas, dari Sematan hingga ke Limbang. Pembangunan utiliti sentiasa diperluas, memimpin rakyat terus gemilang. Buah nangka di atas peti, ambil sebiji di bawah pulang. Sudah jelas, sudah terbukti, kerajaan GPS tetap cemerlang. Piala dunia kembali lagi, sambil menonton, minum kopi. Berakhir sudah penggulungan ini. Semoga semua berpuas hati. Sekian, terima kasih.
Ahli yang berhormat, we have a short break. Sitting resumes at 12 noon.
Okay.
Berhormat Datuk John Sikitayai, Menteri di Jabatan Premier dan Ahli Dewan Undangan Negeri N60 Skakus untuk menyampaikan ucapan penggulungan.
Terima kasih, Tan Sri Dato' Mas Speaker. First and foremost, I would like to thank Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Mas Speaker for giving me the opportunity to deliver my winding up speech. I wish to congratulate Yang Berhormat Premier for leading the state GPS in winning the 23 out of 31 parliamentary seats contested in the recent 15th general election, and also to congratulate Yang Amat Berhormat the Premier for tabling the supply 2023 Bill 2022 and the Sovereign and Sarawak Sovereign Wealth Fund Future Fund Board Bill 2022. Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Mas Speaker, now I would like to update members of this August House on the affairs of the Native Court Sarawak, Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak, and concern raised. The native legal system has existed since the Raja Brooke era and has evolved during the last 153 years to become part of the Malaysian plural legal system until today. The current Native Court Sarawak, under the purview of the Chief Registrar Native Court Sarawak, came into being with the passing of the Native Courts Ordinance in December 1992. It has and is still an integral part of the state administration. Currently, it is a unit under the Premier's Department. In my address in this August House last May, I had touched on the ongoing effort by the state government to restructure and elevate the status of the native courts of Sarawak. The ultimate objective is to transform the current native courts into an independent judicial system like the Sharia and civil courts. And towards this end, the government had commissioned a study in 2020 to produce a master plan for the transformation. I am pleased to inform this August House that the study, which had been conducted by a local team of consultants, was completed in February this year after a delay of 14 months, largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic and other factors beyond our control. The study final report containing the master plan for the transformation of Native Court Sarawak has been approved by the Study Steering Committee, which is chaired by our Yang Berhormat Deputy Premier of Sarawak and a member for Bukit Saban. The approval of the study final report in September this year would now pave the way for follow-up action by the Chief Registrar Native Court Sarawak, mainly to submit the master plan to the state government for approval. The process of compiling papers for submission to the Majlis Mesyuarat Kerajaan Negeri is in the final stage. I'm confident that the state government will favorably consider and approve the master plan before the next meeting of this August House. Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Mas Speaker, based on the recommendation in the master plan, the current native courts will be restructured and elevated from being just a unit under the Premier's Department to be a full-fledged judicial institution which is independent and autonomous. The new court will not fully be part of the state administration. The other changes would involve the hierarchy and organization structure of the current native court system. For these changes to take effect, the recommendation in the master plan is for the government to repeal the current Native Court Ordinance 1992 to enact a new Native Courts Bill. At this juncture, our target is to table the new Native Court Bill during the next sitting in this August House. Settlement of Native Court cases. Under the Native Court structure, the function and operation of the court are to be performed by the residents and district officers. The resident and district officers who are ex officio magistrates presiding over native court cases. Besides the residents and district officers, the functions of the native courts at the community level are performed by headmen of Ketua Kaum and community leaders or Ketua Masyarakat. The headmen are the presiding officers of the headman courts at the village or kampung level, while those who are appointed as pemulu, pemanjas, or temenggong are the presiding officers of the chief and chief superior courts. Currently, the overall numbers of magistrates and presiding officers serving the native court Sarawak are 7,119. This comprise of one judge who is the presiding of the native court of appeal, 58 ex officio magistrates, which are comprising of all the resident and district officers, 3 resident and 6 district native courts, contract magistrate, the presiding officers comprising of 6,492 headmen, 456 chief courts, and 93 chief superior court. As up to 24th November 2022, the total number of registered court cases at 16,468. Out of this, 10,634 cases, or 64.6% of the cases, had been settled. The Native Court Sarawak is making a proactive action in settling the outstanding cases through the contract magistrates to assist the court. The focus is on the settlement of cases involving NCR land disputes and land compensation. Capacity building program to enhance skills and competency for handling court cases. The Office of the Chief Registrar had been organizing a series of capacity building programs involving training, workshops, seminars, and briefing to the native court presiding officers and officials since 2014. The program are aimed to enhancing the skills and competency of the presiding officers in handling their court cases. For this year, 2022, 6 more capacity building programs were carried out by the presiding officers, carried out for the presiding officers and assessors of the headmen, chiefs and chiefs superior court throughout the state. 3 seminar programs have been implemented for the court's clerk, peons, and officers of the resident and trade officers dealing with the native courts matters. To date, over 6,000 persons had attended the capacity building program organized by the native court since 2014. Through this capacity building program, on a continuous basis involving the presiding officers of the headmen, chiefs and chief superior courts, the native court Sarawak is confident that the performance of the community chiefs and community leaders in the settlement of their cases is further enhanced and improved. Upgrading of native courtroom at district and sub-districts. The government has thus far upgraded and renovated 21 courtrooms in various districts and sub-districts throughout the state. The upgrading program started in 2015, and over 3.2 million have been spent on upgrading works. For this year, 2022, 3 more courtrooms have been approved under the upgrading program, namely at Pejabat Darah Lingga, Pejabat Darah Daro, and Pejabat Darah Kecil Negeri Medamin. The projects are being implemented through the State Development Office and would be completed within the year. The Chief Registrar Office, comprising all the presiding officers, magistrates, and supporting officers and staff have consistently given their level best in providing excellent service to all stakeholders. This is truthfully to the Native Court Sarawak motto of fair and just in the dispense of justice. Now, Tuan Speaker, I touch on Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak. I would like to reiterate the importance of Adat to this August House. The Adat that I'm going to talk about are those Adat which are now the native law within the context of legal rules, or law proper under the native jurisprudence and native jurisdiction. These are the adat specifically within the jurisdiction and function of the Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak and Native Codes of Sarawak. The adat which has social rules such as values and respect and etiquette, to name but a few, though they are culturally and socially very important, and social upbringing and social engineering, are not falling within the adat which are enforceable or have been given legal effect. Therefore, these adat are not within the jurisdiction of the Majlis Adat Istiadat and the Native Codes of Sarawak. However, adat in general are the cultural expression and social construction from the society social values. Before the establishment of the civil government under James Brooke in Sarawak, every native community may be described as independent and sovereign community. The native communities govern their own territories. Adat were used for the exercise of political power and the construction of hegemonies. In this respect, adat was a cultural and political instrument of power and authority for the regulation and governance of social relations and affairs of the communities in their territories, however small they were. To a certain extent, this historical experience has some influence on the social legal philosophy or social legal culture of some native communities. Today, after almost 200 years and the three civil government, many of these ancient adat are still relevant and very important for the native communities. I would say the adat are as important as law to this country in the governance and regulation of the land and its people. As long as the native communities are living in homogeneous social groups, adat are still relevant accepted regime for the governance and regulation of the social, economic and political relations and the affairs of the native communities. Some of the native communities' social, economic and political relations and affairs are unique to the individual community, which are not regulated by the state law, e.g. law which are met by the state or federal legislature or government. These matters are either not legally or immorally under the state law, but they are under certain adat. For example, there are some social moral matters, personal and family rights and protection, right to natural resources, funeral, burial, bereavement matters, to name a few, but a few. They are regulated by adat in many native communities, but not regulated by the state law. These matters are affecting or concerning the people of Sarawak, and as such, they are matters which must be managed by the government properly through adat. Like some state law, most adat do not bring direct financial benefit to the native communities, but adat can bring something which is more beneficial and valuable, which money cannot buy. The main purpose of adat is to bring peace, harmony, unity, and justice. Peace, harmony, unity, and justice are among the ultimate ideals which most societies are striving for. These ideals are very important and priceless. Where peace and harmony, unity, and justice prevail, it would provide a space and opportunities for people to earn a good living, to create prosperity and the well-being of a society. Whereas in a social where chaos, quarrel, disunity, and injustice are common, good standard of living, prosperity, and well-being may be hard to come by members of the society, maybe too preoccupied with the quarrel or something which are not beneficial to the community as a whole, but merely benefit a few. Thus, without adat, there are still a likelihood of chaos, anarchy, or disorder, and injustice would prevail in the native community. In this regard, adat may be broadly regarded as an essential instrument of a community for the regulation of social relations and affairs, which may influence and shape the social situation of the community. In a narrow sense, adat many rules of social control that regulate the behavior of members of the community living in a communal setting. Under such circumstances, adat has to a certain extent, shape the social characteristic and cultural identity of the native communities. Culture is a social expression of society worldwide. From another perspective, adat may be viewed as a social cohesion or glue that binds members of every native community together as a social group. Many of the adat have been practiced for centuries and have become part of the social contract and ways of living in the native communities. The legitimacy and acceptance of such adats have been unquestionable and treated as integral to their life. This adat consists of implicit or unspoken agreement, stipulating binding obligation. This is where all members of the community are contractually bound by the adat by the virtue of living in the community. For example, the mandatory participation in certain community activities and functions. Adat have always been reinforced by the other age-old tradition and become part of the social cohesion that bound the members of the community together as a social group. Any member who does not want to bound by such social contract may opt out by moving out of the community. The main purpose of these obligations is to promote and maintain harmony, unity, and well-being in the community. Without such adat, the native community would be disintegrated. In view of the importance of adats, as mentioned, the Sarawak government has always support and preservation, promotion, and promulgating on the adat through Majlis Adat Istiadat. This is to ensure that social moral well-being of the native communities are well looked after. Many of us in this August House belong to or identify ourselves with the native communities. Adat epitomize the wisdom of our ancestors and the reflection of our survival and what we are made are today. Cooperation of Majlis Adat Istiadat. The establishment of Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak, or MAIS, as enacted under MAIS Ordinance 1977, is as a body corporate and perpetual cessation. With that in view, MAIS is preparing and gearing itself to realize this aspiration. The work on cooperation is in progress in tandem with the MAIS Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026. Among the most notable proposals that MAIS is embarking on is the setting up of a research institute on adat of various ethnic groups. This institute will strengthen its position as the focal agency in relation to native adat and traditions. The program will be the key enabler to Majlis Adat Istiadat to fully utilize its research capacity and the development and promotion of the native adat. It also acts as a platform in preserving, nurturing, and promoting native customs and traditions. Currently, the overall number of staff serving Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak is 45, comprising of various grades. These staff are distributed throughout MAIS under various sections, mainly the administration, documentation, and repository, corporate, and ICT and research. The research section comprises of 4 sub-units, namely Iban, Badayu, Orang Ulu, and Malanau. MAIS is facing a problem of understaffed, especially in the research section. All the sub-units and the research section are only manned each by 3 officers. Unfortunately, too, these staff are on yearly contract basis. In supporting the digital transformation as outlined in Sarawak Post-COVID Development Strategies, or PCDS 2030, Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak is embarking on digitalization. The work process such as converting materials on various adat, tradition, and practice into digital format. Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak archive stores invaluable treasure of research material and oral tradition collected by various researchers, past and present during the tenure in the Majlis Adat in the Majlis consisting of physical journals and analog media such as cassettes, VHS, tapes recording. In 2020, due to the deterioration state of the analog media, the Majlis has successfully digitalized 4,856 units of analog media as digital surrogates, including the cataloging of oral tradition system of codes to preserve this research material and oral tradition on a digital platform, thus ensuring the availability and the continuity for the current and future research activities by generation to come. Native Marriage Electronic System, or NAM, is one of the three systems that register marriages and divorce in Sarawak. It was developed in 2010 in an effort to centralize the registration and issuance of adult marriage and adult divorce certificates. It was deployed throughout Sarawak in 2012, and its currently users consist of 45 district officers and 21 sub-district officers statewide. In 2021, the Majlis has embarked on the project to redevelop native marriage electronic system throughout Rancangan Malaysia ke-12 ICT project. This is in line with our PCDS 2030 Digital Information Plan under the Digital Government Services. Throughout this project, NAM's services will be available to the public in 2023, be applied for adult marriages pre-registration on Sarawak Government portal using Sarawak ID. NAMs will also be integrated with relevant government agency system to enhance their interoperability and data verification operation. Amendment to Majlis Adat Istiadat Ordinance 1977 and the Native Custom Declaration Ordinance 1996. MICE was established in 1972 with the aim to preserve codified Promat Adat of the native in Sarawak. In 1974 until today, MICE functioned as a unit in the then Chief Minister's Department. After a long establishment history of half a century, MICE is embarking on the corporatization of the Majlis. Once corporatized, the management of Adat of MICE will have a free hand in determining the day-to-day administration of the Majlis, which includes, among others, recruitment of officers and planning for future undertakings. In order for Majlis Adat Istiadat to effectively execute its function as a corporate body, the Majlis Adat Istiadat Ordinance 1977 and Native Custom Declaration Ordinance 1996 needs to be reviewed and amended accordingly. The Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak has embarked on the new of the 7 coded adat. Some provision of this adat are not relevant and incompatible to the changed social circumstances prevailing in some native communities. In some cases, there is no adat regulating the new social circumstances or affair. For example, there is no adat regulating the splitting off or breaking away of long house in the Iban communities. In this case, a long house break up into 2 or 3 long houses, and the new and breakaway long house are within the jurisdiction or territorial domain of the old house, of the old long house. The adat regulating the right to land and natural resources are not quite relevant to these new circumstances. In view of this, the codified adat need to be reviewed, and with a view to repeal and substitute them with the new codified adat to accommodate the new social circumstances in the communities. The 7 codified adat are Adat Iban 1993, Adat Badayuh 1994, Adat Kayan Kenyah 1994, Adat Bisaya 2004, Adat Long Bawang 2004, Adat Kelabit 2008, and Adat Penan 2011. Adat Berdayuh 1994, Adat Kain Kenyah 1994, Adat Bersayak 2004, and Adat Lun Bawang 2004 currently at the preliminary stage of the review process. The 5 adat are now going through the drafting and vetting processes. They are Adat Melanau, Adat Berawan, Adat Kajang, Adat Bakatan, and Adat Kiput. Training and courses and workshop on adat. Majlis Adat Sarawak is a custodian of the adat. The primary function of the adat is to maintain harmonious relationship in the community by minimizing conflict and misunderstanding through observant and efficient administration of the adat. Majlis Adat Sarawak had conducted seminars and workshops to assist ketua masyarakat dan ketua kaum to enhance their knowledge and competency in adat. For the second half of 2022, Majlis Adat Sarawak has conducted 27 seminars and workshops for this purpose. In addition, Majlis Adat Sarawak has also conducted 4 outreach programs with the main objective to disseminate information on the importance of registration of marriage through adat for the reason that a marriage certificate is a prerequisite to apply for official documents such as birth certificate, and identity card, which will facilitate the application of other documents and other official purposes. For the purpose of preserving the adat and as reference material for future generation, researchers in 2022, Majlis Adat Sarawak has published 5 books of various topics on adat, traditional knowledge and cultural expressions. So now, Tuan Speaker, I would like to respond to issues raised by Ali yang berhormat. In response to the question raised by Honourable Member for Baklalan, the gazettement to the amendment can be done once the condition and requirement are ready. As of today, the government is in the midst of finalizing the condition and requirement as well as procedure for application recognition as a native of Sarawak, and such condition, requirement and procedures are expected to be tabled to Majlis Mesyuarat Kerajaan Negeri soonest. Applying for foreign labour. Untuk makluman dari berhormat bagi penting, dasar kerajaan Sarawak sedia ada sentiasa mengutamakan peluang pekerjaan kepada anak-anak tempatan walaupun ada industri yang mendesak untuk mendapatkan pekerja asing, lebih-lebih lagi dalam tempoh endemik ini, di mana ketika pandemik COVID-19 melanda di negara kita, ramai anak-anak tempatan telah kehilangan pekerjaan dan menganggur. Pada masa ini, kerajaan Sarawak yang sentiasa komited dengan rakyat Sarawak diutamakan, yang menekankan hala tuju Sarawak First, yang mana dalam konteks ini kerajaan tidak mengetepikan hak rakyat Sarawak dengan menyediakan peluang pekerjaan terlebih dulu kepada anak tempatan dalam mencapai inisiatif Pelan Strategik Pembangunan Pasca COVID-19 Sarawak atau PCDS 2030 dengan menggalakkan penglibatan anak tempatan dalam pasaran buruh. Walau bagaimanapun, kerajaan Sarawak membenarkan penglibatan dan pengajian pekerja asing bagi ekspatriat, pekerja mahir atau separa mahir dan pekerjaan untuk bekerja di Sarawak dengan syarat hanya pekerjaan dengan kemahiran tidak tersedia dalam Sarawak saja ditawarkan kepada pekerja asing. Oleh yang demikian, majikan perlu mengiklankan kekosongan jawatan dalam portal My Future Jobs yang diuruskan oleh PKSO atau SUKSO, akhbar dan radio tempatan bagi memberi peluang kepada anak tempatan terlebih dahulu sebelum permohonan pengambilan pekerja asing oleh majikan dapat dipertimbangkan. Bagi menambah baik proses dalam prosedur permohonan pengajian pekerja asing, kerajaan Sarawak telah mewujudkan satu jawatankuasa dikenali sebagai One Stop Committee OSC yang dipengerusikan oleh Setiausaha Kerajaan Sarawak bagi mempertimbangkan permohonan secara fast track, terutamanya permohonan dalam sektor penting yang melibatkan projek-projek kerajaan serta minyak dan gas. Kerajaan Sarawak dan pihak Jabatan Imigresen Negeri Sarawak turut sedia berbincang untuk membenarkan majikan membawa masuk pekerja dalam masa yang sama. Pemohon Approval in Principle AP dikemukakan kepada Jabatan Tenaga Kerja Sarawak. Bagi pengurusan, pengambilan dan pengajian pekerja asing yang lebih efektif dan efisien, terutamanya dalam mempercepatkan proses permohonan, Kerajaan Sarawak sedang dan dalam usaha membangunkan satu sistem bersepadu untuk menguruskan hal ehwal pekerja asing di Sarawak. Salah satu cirinya adalah platform portal pekerjaan di mana adanya job matching di antara majikan dan pencari kerja tempatan yang pada masa yang sama. Kerajaan Sarawak mempunyai akses ke atas maklumat dan data berkaitan pekerjaan dan keperluan industri di Sarawak. Pihak Jabatan Tenaga Kerja Sarawak juga turut memberi penambahbaikan SOP di mana sejak pandemik COVID-19 melanda negara kita, Jabatan Tenaga Kerja Sarawak telah membenarkan, mengemukakan permohonan surat kelulusan secara dasar atau Letter of Approval in Principle AP melalui email atau pos selain daripada majikan hadir sendiri ke pejabat tenaga raya kerja yang terdekat. Majikan juga sekarang tidak perlu berurusan secara fizikal dengan pejabat tenaga kerja untuk memungut lesen pengajian pekerja bukan bermestulin, di mana lesen ini boleh dimuat turun secara terus melalui sistem ARD Repository Lesson. Bahkan dengan umur bagi manual labor untuk bekerja di Sarawak, tahap umur dibenarkan mengikut kategori jawatan itu. Bagi jawatan pekerja bukan mahir atau pekerja am ialah 18 tahun ke atas dan tidak melebihi 45 tahun pada kemasukan pertama. Dan bagi jawatan pekerja mahir, tahap umur adalah 18 tahun dan ke atas, tidak ada had umur. Bagi golongan ekspekteriat yang diproses oleh Jabatan Imigresen Malaysia Sarawak, umur minimum 27 tahun adalah sebagai garis panduan asas bagi jawatankuasa lokalisasi untuk mempertimbangkan satu-satu permohonan bagi pas pengajian ekspekteriat. Walau bagaimanapun, jawatankuasa boleh mempertimbangkan permohonan yang berumur di bawah 27 tahun yang berkepakaran tinggi dan berbakat serta sesuai dengan industri sedang berkembang di Sarawak. Justru Kerajaan Sarawak dari masa ke semasa akan terus meneliti dan mengkaji proses dan prosedur dalam menambah baik ke semua proses yang mengambil kira pelbagai faktor selain keperluan industri, antaranya faktor kesihatan, negara sumber atau keselamatan bagi memelihara atau melindungi hak anak Sarawak dan kesejahteraan Sarawak dan sosioekonomi tempatan. Sebagai langkah untuk mengatasi kekangan dalam pengambilan kerja dari luar Sarawak yang dihadapi oleh pihak industri, Kerajaan Sarawak juga telah membuka negara sumber yang lain selain Indonesia untuk pengambilan pekerja dari luar mengikut kesesuaian dan keperluan sebenar sektor industri tempatan. Kerajaan Sarawak, Jabatan Tenaga Kerja Sarawak dan Jabatan Imigresen Malaysia Negeri Sarawak telah mengadakan beberapa siri bengkel transformasi, mesyuarat dan perbincangan bagi memperkemaskan prosedur pengambilan dan pengajian pekerja asing. Di antaranya adalah penambah baik proses dan prosedur permohonan pas pengajian bagi expectorate dengan memendekkan tempoh proses permohonan dari 90 hari kepada 45 hari bekerja dengan syarat dokumen yang dihantar adalah lengkap dan teratur. Tan Sri Datuk Mas Speaker, dengan kesempatan ini juga saya ingin merakamkan terima kasih saya kepada semua pihak yang terlibat dalam penganiayaan Presiden DUN pada kali ini. Begitu juga di jabatan di bawah tanggungjawab saya di Jabatan Premier Sarawak. Dengan kesempatan ini juga saya ingin mengucapkan selamat Hari Christmas Tahun Baru 2023 kepada semua di dalam dan di luar Dewan yang mulia ini. To end my speech, ingin saya sampaikan dua rangkap pantun saja, Tuan dan Ketua. Pantun disampai, perhatian dipinta. Sentiasa waspada, kubit durjana. Bahang PRU 15 sudah pun reda, demam bola sepak dunia pula melanda. Bersama kita menang teguh, jadikan perpaduan tunggak yang ampuh. Adat lambang bangsa yang utuh, pelbagai kaum bersatu kukuh. Sekian, terima kasih.
Alaihi Muhammad, we have a lunch break. Sitting resumes at 2:30 p.m.